Today, I had a request from a subscriber to do a video on the Strawman logical fallacy. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. Today, we're talking about the Strawman fallacy. In the field of logic and rhetoric, a fallacy is a flaw in reasoning that renders an argument invalid. Among the most common of these is the strawman fallacy. The name comes from the practice of creating a literal man made of straw, a harmless inanimate object, to practice fighting. It is much easier to knock down a pile of straw than it is to defeat a real breathing opponent. In a verbal or written argument, the strawman fallacy occurs when one person ignores the actual position of their opponent and replaces it with a distorted, exaggerated, or misrepresented version of that position. By defeating the fake, weaker version they created, they claim to have defeated the original argument, even though they never actually addressed it. The strawman fallacy follows a specific four-step logical sequence. Person A presents argument X. Person B summarizes argument X in a way that is inaccurate by often oversimplifying it or taking it to an extreme. Person B attacks the inaccurate summary, and then person B concludes that argument X has been refuted. This is a failure of intellectual honesty. Instead of engaging with the strongest version of an opponent's ideas, the speaker chooses to engage with a caricature. There are several ways a straw man is built. Understanding these techniques makes them easier to identify. First is oversimplification, taking a complex, nuanced argument and reducing it to a single, easily attackable point. Second is exaggeration, taking a moderate position and pushing it to an absolute or radical extreme. The third is quoting out of context, taking specific words from an opponent by removing the surrounding sentences that would provide the necessary meaning. Finally, we have the weak link approach, focusing entirely on one small, poorly defended part of an opponent's argument while ignoring the main pillars of their logic. To see how this functions, consider a debate regarding environmental policy. If the original argument is, we should implement stricter regulations on industrial carbon emissions to combat climate change, the straw man response might be, my opponent wants to shut down every factory in the country, destroy our economy, and leave thousands of people unemployed. That is a reckless plan. In this scenario, the respondent didn't argue against stricter regulations. Instead, they argued against shutting down every factory. Since shutting down every factory is a bad idea, they appear to win the point. But they haven't actually addressed the original proposal of regulation. Consider another example in the context of education. I believe we should allocate more of the budget to the arts and music programs. The straw man response might be, it is shocking that you want to take money away from math and science, leaving our students unprepared for the modern workforce. The proponent of the arts never mentioned cutting math or science, yet the respondent shifted the focus to a threat to the core subjects to make the art proposal look dangerous. The straw man is popular because it is effective in front of an audience. It allows a speaker to appear victorious without doing the hard work of researching a counterargument. Psychologically, it stems from what's called confirmation bias. People are naturally inclined to see the other side as being less intelligent or more extreme than they actually are. By turning an opponent into a straw man, a speaker reinforces their own worldview and the worldview of their supporters, avoiding the cognitive dissonance that comes from admitting an opposing view might have merit. The prevalence of the straw man fallacy has a significant negative impact on public discourse. It prevents the resolution of conflict because the two parties are no longer talking about the same thing. It leads to polarization as each side begins to believe that the other side holds ridiculous or dangerous views. When we argue against straw men, we are essentially talking to ourselves. When you realize a straw man is being used against you, there are three primary ways you can respond. Number one, direct correction. Immediately pause the conversation and point out the misrepresentation. You might say, I did not say we should do X. I said we should do Y. Please address my actual point. Second, request for clarification. Ask the opponent to explain how they arrived at their interpretation of your argument. This forces them to look at your original words and often reveals the gap in their logic. The third is the steelman technique. This is the most advanced rhetorical tool. It involves restating your opponent's argument so well that they say, yes, that's exactly what I mean. Only after you have built their steel man do you attempt to dismantle it. This ensures that the debate remains focused on real ideas rather than fabrications. The straw man fallacy is a shortcut that leads to a dead end. While it might work to win a quick point in a debate, it fails to produce truth or progress. By maintaining a commitment to representing opposing views accurately, we move away from winning through deception and toward understanding through logic. So, the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is yo no dije eso. Yo no dije eso. And what that means is, I didn't say that. If you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a specific topic you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cashapp in the description box below. We'll see you next time.